Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to, I won't say the last podcast of 2024, but definitely the one about wrapping up the year. So I'm recording this on the 18th of December. It's very much kind of the last stretch, the last week prior to Christmas. It definitely feels like it's coming at us so fast. It's so real. But I'm also starting to feel the subtle change in energy with just a little bit more peace, a bit more quiet, and things starting to slow down, which is very, very nice. But today is like my last big business day of the year where I have lots to get through, but I'm really excited to be here today because in case you're new to me, like I do love a reflection, and particularly I do love a reflection at the end of the year. In the past, in the podcast, you can check out season 1. I have done those yearly episodes with my reflection from 2020. So you've got a couple you can go and listen to. I do love kind of really looking back and looking at the insides and connecting the dots and making sense of what happened. So I am going to enjoy it today, and I hope you will too. I think it's the right time to start talking about the year that was, and I'm not going to talk about 2025 because A, I'm not ready, B, I think it's way too much that your brain cannot do both. So my main advice right now on this side of the year is do not worry about setting up 2025 yet. You will start seeing lots of things online trying to sell you stuff and saying you have to set your goals. But we don't care respectfully right now. We've got Christmas to come, we've got the break, and it's really important to look at what happened and the lessons that we've learned, because we can't evolve and we can't grow further, or maybe, like take on the next step, the next direction next year before we actually do this, which is taking stock and reflecting and really stopping for a minute. And also, I know it's not something the current culture really celebrates because it's always about, let's go on, like what's the next thing? And we never really stop to realize, to be like, oh, hang on a minute, like let's just for now park here and talk about all the things that have happened or that we have realized. It's not really sexy these days. It's always about what's ahead. What am I chasing? Where am I moving towards? And seriously, this kind of hustling and striving and aiming forward is too much. It's not a theme of the year. It's been going on for some time. But I have unsubscribed from this mentality for quite some time, and I invite you to. So today I want to really focus on what we've seen playing out this year and help you think about it for you on a personal level. So today's going to be a little informal, a little free form. I feel like just having more of a casual chat with you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about some facts about the year and intertwine that with some astrology. And the two are going to magically come together with me kind of outlining, if you like, 6 themes of this year. And for each of the themes, I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself to reflect. So it's kind of, this content is just coming to me organically based on those 2 directions, facts and astrology for the year. And stay with me, stay for the course and see if this resonates. And it's kind of, I'm helping you, I'm guiding your reflection for this year. And just a little heads up, I'll talk about it at the end as well. I do have an annual planner, 24-25, which I release every single year. And I actually make it free for people on my newsletter. So I just want to flag it here, and I'll give you the details and in the show notes as well, how you can get your hands on it, because I recommend you do that after listening to the podcast, like in addition to what I shared today. All right. So are we ready? Let's get into it. So let's look back, let's reflect on 2024. What happened? What made this year so different? Like, what was really going on? So I started by looking actually at the words of the year, something I had not done before, but I found that interesting. So there's several words of the year, and I'm going to run through them. The first one is manifest. So they're different words based on the sources, but they're all really interesting. The first word is manifest, and it's about using methods such as visualization and affirmations, maybe subliminals, to help you imagine achieving something that you want. It's the art of bringing into your life, into your reality, something that you deeply desire. So that's the first word. The second is demure. So that one I didn't know, I had to look it up. But it's used in that context to describe refined and sophisticated appearance or behavior in different contexts. For instance, at work or in a room full of people or on a plane. And that one apparently came out of TikTok. I say apparently because I'm not on TikTok. I have no idea. Now, another word that I've heard going around is the word of the year, brain rot, which means the concern around consuming excessive amount of poor quality online content, like lots of content that's not really helping our brain, especially on social media. Then 3 more words of the year that I found. One another is polarization, which is this division into 2 very distinct opposites, especially a state in which opinions, belief, interest of a group, of society no longer range along a continuum, sort of a mass, but having those opposite extreme. Now, 2 more words. Another one is the word brat, great word for the year, which is about being confident, independent, and having a hedonistic attitude. And the last one, which comes really from Australia, and I'm going to try to say it correctly, is enshittification. You may have heard of it. And that is supposed to mean the deterioration of a product or a service, and especially a reduction in the quality of what's given to you, especially on an online platform, and as a consequence of profit seeking. So it's kind of saying you're getting the wrong end of the deal. You're getting less value, and they are winning more at your own expense. So these are all the words that I found for 2024. And I will say, most of them not very positive, to be honest. Like, not really glowing kind of words and really aspirational words. But I see a little red thread, which I will call my first theme here for the year. It's the rise of being our authentic selves. It's the rise of the individual motives, manifesting what we really desire, choosing our attitude by being demure. It's like being intentional the way we behave and we portray ourselves. Being discerning as well with what we are consuming and looking at, and refusing to engage in brain rot or things that are really low quality for us. So it's also about speaking your mind when there's the rise of being authentic. You speak more your mind, which can lead to that polarization and to potentially appear more bright, in inverted commas, which is being more confident, feeling stronger within yourself. So I see that red thread through all those words, which is a positive one, because it's this trend where our authentic selves are starting to come out more and more. We're moving towards more individualization and also more self-worth and more self-knowledge. Frankly, that's where it starts. And we are now looking more at what drives us, what matters to us, and how to express this more into our lives. We aren't afraid to start removing things or people that don't serve us, that are not in alignment with us, and that we know are frankly lying to us. So we're a lot more discerning and checking with our values, with our inner compass. And I think that is a beautiful thing. And I'm just thinking about it now as I'm recording this. It's no wonder that I call my business this year Living Your Path, because it's this idea of aligning with what's authentic to you, what's true, because that's what's going to be in your highest good. So I love that actually being here on this podcast completely aligned with what I'm talking about here. So that's the first theme, being more your authentic self. So now let me ask you a few questions to help you reflect on that. Have you found like more of your authentic self came out this year? And if so, in which areas of your life did this show up? And what is the impact of this for you? Does anything feel misaligned? And especially if you feel like some areas you have not been able to be yourself, what was the impact? What has been the cost of this to you? So if there is a misalignment, like trust that it is there to tell you that you are ready for a change in 2025. It's really time for alignment. So start tuning in into where have I shown up as my authentic self and where maybe am I not, which means I'm ripe for some realignment next year. And likewise, look at where in your life you are investing your time and energy into things or people that don't generate a return for you because it's not aligned. You know, things that make your brain possibly rot, at least definitely not thrive. And where in your life have things deteriorated to the point that there is not much quality left, or that the quality that is there is beneath your own value, your own self-worth, and your own standards. There may be places like that. So really look into those themes for yourself, always in relation to what is true to me. Now, as my second theme, I want to touch on the manifest word. I personally love that one because I absolutely love manifestation. I've been into it for many years. It's really a topic I know a lot about and I love to keep learning about. And it really gives me a lot of hope and admiration for humanity, seriously, that it made the word list in 2024. And I think that's the second theme. We are on a journey, collectively and individually, of rising our consciousness. And if you're here, you are 100% part of that group. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So this trend of rising our consciousness started with COVID, where most of us, to be honest, had pretty close to none of that consciousness because we were so head down and we were like, in our busy lives, work, family, taking external profit goals, go. Like it did feel like life was full, but we were not questioning the meaning of things. We were not taking a step back. And so I feel like, we were never stopping for air. We were never asking ourselves if this was the life we really wanted to live. But since the pandemic, we have been, so to speak, forced to reevaluate, to reflect on our values and on our lifestyle, and to refocus on ourselves, especially on our well-being. And as we did so, we started working from home. Some of us have been changing careers towards more enjoyment, more meaning, and we've transformed our lives. Some people, it was where they were living, they moved or they bought houses. Some people transformed their relationship, who they were living with. Like we have evolved on the journey of maturation, of personal reflection, and the rise of our consciousness. You know what I mean? It's like we have that awareness of what's good for us and that compass. Should that change? It's like the next step. We're being ourselves. That was the first theme. And then we're like, what do I need to correct? And how do I really start manifesting what's right for me? And it's like we started questioning more our actions, our choices, and how we want to be and to feel on a daily basis. It's sort of that ability to step outside of ourselves and outside of our daily thoughts and look at the reality for what it is, observing what's working, what's not. especially in relation to our bodies and our minds and the link between the two. So all of that sits under the manifest theme, because there has been a big rise of those modalities, practices, and therapies that link body and mind. And especially in 2024, there's been a massive rise of meditation globally that is really taking off. There's expansion of yoga teaching, the rise of breath work, even the rise of astrology, the rise of holistic psychology, explaining the mind, but linking it with also the body. And likewise, with linking the physical health with mental health. And also people have been using tools to access the inner self, to build calm, to build that inner harmony and resilience, to sort of access well-being on the inside. And we've been learning how to calm our thoughts, how to think objectively, and how to manifest from our thoughts. So we've been solving imbalances in our lives that way. We've been really focused on watching our thoughts, and that's what I mean by raising our consciousness. So I think this theme is a very nice movement towards more self-actualization, which is, for those you know, at the top of the Maslow's pyramid of needs. It's the top, right? And I feel as humanity and personally, we've been on that journey, and I've seen it with every single of my clients. I've seen it through my friends. Exactly what I've just described, like reflecting more, getting more into knowledge and bettering ourselves and starting to manifest better things in our life. And we've been the key leading force there. And we're not going to stop, by the way. This is going to continue. So in relation to this theme of consciousness, here are some prompts for you. How is your quality of life? How has it been this year? What is working for you and what is not? How much calm and inner peace have you felt lately on a weekly basis? Leaving the Christmas rush aside, if you look at the last 3 to 6 months, you think about your mental health, think about your emotional health, and think about your physical health and the link between those three things. What has been supporting you in achieving harmony or calm between those areas? And likewise, what has been hindering you from reaching this harmony and this balance across those different parts of you? And even just ask yourself, what have you manifested in 2024? Good or bad, so to speak. What are all the things that came into your reality? And did they align with your personal goals? Because maybe it's time to change course next year and change your thoughts and your feelings and your actions. Or maybe you realize actually that what's turned up for you comes from that. And so you can use it even more, leverage it more next year. Now, moving on to the third theme I want to touch on for 2024 is the rise of information, of content, to the point of cognitive overload. We've had lots of information, it's not new, but this year I feel like we have just reached the point where our brains are so jammed. There's media like there was never before. Messages we are being bombarded with, our inboxes are mega full. Recently I was doing research and I heard some people had like 100 emails every morning. Like, my God, can you imagine getting through that every day? And so it's getting more challenging for the right messages and the important information to cut through, obviously. But likewise, we've never needed as much guidance and as much leadership because we don't know how to sort through all of that. We're being flooded. And our nervous systems are generally in a pretty poor state, I would say. And I'm actually starting to see coming up some tools for nervous system regulation. So I think that's the future theme for 2025. It's one of them because we've reached the point where we have to stop. We can't add more. It's gone already way too far. And we need to rebalance because the rate of burnout is frankly alarming. And many people I know have burned out or are burning out, especially right now. And I do too. I'm not immune to it. I catch myself just at the door, but I'm still finding myself at that door various times of the year. So it's a real threat. And it's to the point that these days, if someone says the word burnout, I find that we have kind of normalized it, right? It's like a thing we see, we encounter, and we kind of have accepted. But had you said the word burnout 10 years ago, people would have screamed, what? And just stop there. These days, like, oh, yeah, you burn out. Yeah, it's just a fact of life. So it's not a great theme, right? But I think 2024 was particularly a year where our minds have been very active and very overactive even. We are trying to solve the problems of the world and of our lives with our minds and our minds alone. And our mental load is huge. And it feels like life is getting more complicated because it is getting more sophisticated and progress is advancing very rapidly. And likewise, therefore, it feels like life is more out of control. And that was my last episode, 104, which you may want to check out if you haven't yet. So social media is bombarding us with messages that our brain can barely keep up with. Meanwhile, it flows us with dopamine, and therefore that makes us addicted to that. So it's too much, but we can't get off the drug at the same time. Have you noticed? We are in our head so much, and we're trying to remember everything and read everything and solve for everything. And therefore, we have less capacity for connection with others. And we have less opportunity and less desire, and we're less at ease with being in a room with someone or with a group of people, and either like meeting new people, networking, or giving people our undivided attention, and just starting with our kids. Like, when was the last time you had a 1 hour or 2 hour uninterrupted conversation with someone? So check in with yourself after this year. How is your mind feeling? How jammed is it? Do you have troubles with memory? I definitely have seen that happening to me. And it's not all age, it's because it's too full in there. How is this impacting other parts of your life? Like your sleep, like your connections with close people. Where can you cut back on the information you're getting? Are you one of those people with 100 emails a day? That is way too much. Time for a call. Time for a digital detox. And look at what activities replenish your brain. Like self-care for the brain, I think is really important at the end of this year. What are you doing to counteract all that mental activity? And when in your life is your brain idle? And really try to cultivate that during the holiday. Stay off the phone. Do not keep up with all your emails. Buy yourself a break. I think we are at the point where we kind of struggle when our brain is idle, because it doesn't feel familiar anymore. It feels odd, and it doesn't really feel good. And I think we feel uncomfortable, frankly, when we're not reading, absorbing, digesting, Going out for a walk with no music, no podcast in your ear, many people now can't do that. And sometimes I find that challenging myself, because I love to learn, and especially if we are this kind of personality who like to soak up information. I think it's really important to think about giving our brain a break, because if we are always so used to give it something to do and to process, we aren't familiar with just being. And being links to the rise of consciousness. Being is when you start actually having insight. It's when you connect with your intuition, and it's when you start distancing yourself from what's going on. You start making better decisions on where you need to be going. So it's really important we go beyond the daily mental patterns, and we free ourselves, and we go back into more states of being rather than states of thinking. Okay, so I've got those 3 themes that were inspired to me looking at the words of the year. Now I want to look at the key astrological moments of 2024 and see if we can learn something there. So there are 3 things I want to talk about. Number 1, you've probably heard from me on other people, Pluto moved into Aquarius, and that was definitely the highlight of the year. So Pluto changed sign, which it only does every 20 years. So a pretty big deal. And it happened right at the end after the US election, which is unfortunate because had it happened before that, I guarantee you the outcome of the election would have been different. And to be honest, that change that happened in late November was very welcome because we have been under the Pluto in Capricorn for 15 years. And it was especially more intense in the last 2 to 3 years because of the last degrees. And frankly, we needed a break because Pluto in Capricorn was all about breaking down the structures of power that no longer serve us. So it's not fun what we've been through. And you probably felt it. We have been experiencing hierarchies being torn down. We have been seeing unethical behaviors being exposed and suppressed. We've seen abuses of powers and corruption. We've had our fair share of scandals of political leaders that, frankly, shouldn't be in power. We've seen all the dark side, if you like, of all of that power and also of the banking system, of government and political institution. And frankly, it wasn't pretty, especially if we've been looking at the news the last couple of months, just really bad news, unpleasant, and really things that irk you a little bit. But thank goodness now Pluto is in Aquarius, moved there at the end of November, where there will still be a lot of transformation happening, but with a different flavor. When before, with Capricorn, it was tinted with authority, with coldness, a kind of a stern tone, a lot of maturity, sobriety, like really not fun. It will now be tainted with more freedom, with a sense of humanity, unity, and diversity. So, I'd much rather that, even if it's still going to mean lots of transformation. So, the first question for you here is, where have you had your key transformations this year? And maybe what I talked about around the Capricorn flavor and the structures of power resonates with you. And it can differ based on what area of your life this was happening in. For me, it had to do with my sense of self-worth, not outsourcing my power to external people or things, focusing very much on my inner power rather than looking for power outside of me. But for you, this could have been playing up in your career, within your home and family, your friendships, your finances, or other people's money. Like the pattern is the same. It was a deep transformation where some old habits had to go and got transformed into something new. So that's the first thing astrologically for the year. The second is we've had a series of eclipses, which we have every year, but the axes, the signs that the eclipses happen in changes sort of every year-ish, year and a half. So this year, the eclipses happen along the axis of Aries and Libra, which are opposite signs. So that means we've been dealing with a lot of energy around our relationships because Aries Libra is about finding the right balance between asserting yourself, looking after your needs and being direct, that's Aries, versus Libra, which is all about us. It's about finding compromise and harmonizing with other people. So you probably have felt some challenges this year around your relationships, about in particular speaking up, finding the right amount of diplomacy, communicating in relationship, and regulating your own emotions when dealing with people. I certainly have felt all of that this year. So check in about the evolution of your relationships in 2024. What was going on? What were the dynamics for you? Had there been an imbalance between your needs and wants and the people around you? Have you given in too much? Where have you been maybe too much of a people pleaser, seeking peace at the detriment of your own needs? And where have you been maybe too focused on your own needs, perhaps? And now The last event that was really worth mentioning this year was a big conjunction that happened in April between Jupiter and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. A conjunction is when two planets meet up. They're exactly at the same point in space. So it's like they merge the energies together. And those are two big planets. Jupiter is about expansion and optimism in the bigger picture. And it met the planet Uranus, which is the planet of unexpected twist, freedom and rebellion. Can you imagine if you marry that up? Like, it's quite strong, for sure. So did anything change in your life around April, May? It could actually have started around Feb and lasted up until the middle of the year. But the bulk of it, that's when the energy really was felt the most. Did you experience any out of the blue disruption? And the area of your life where this may have played out depends on the house that Taurus is in your natal chart. So if you know, go and look it up. For me, it is my 6th house. So this had to do with my everyday habits and routine and health. That's very 6th house. And I certainly experienced a big change with a modification of my diet, like in my health. And it was unexpected. I didn't know starting the year this would happen. But it impacted my health and energy significantly in a very positive way. So that's how those two planets played out for me. Think back for you and look in your chart if you know how to do so to see which area of your life was impacted this year. So to summarize the 6 themes I have covered so far, and that are linked also, the last 3 are linked to astrology, they were stepping up into a more authentic version of ourselves, the rise of a higher consciousness in ourselves and the world, being more intentional about what we do and manifesting what we want, the information overload and our minds being at overcapacity, and then from the astrology, who are you being within your relationship? What are you allowing? What are you nurturing and prioritizing? And then what structures or foundations have changed or need to change? What power imbalances needed to be corrected so you can step into your own personal power? And what change or disruption happened for your highest good? So I love that, we can come up with those themes that really relate to our lives and our experience this year. And they directly link to the astrological events. And they came up in the reality of the world because those words of the year have been crafted based on actual fact, what people have been talking about, searching, what's been coming up in social media. So all of this is anchored on actual fact from this year, but there's meaning. Everything makes sense. So to wrap it up, I wouldn't say it was an easy year. No, I think we all felt it. But it was an interesting, enriching year because we had some significant opportunities for growth and significant changes. And I believe this year was the step up to more coming our way in 2025 and 2026. More growth, more raising of our consciousness, more positive change for humanity. So strap yourself in because next year is not going to be a holiday. It's not going to be all relaxing, easy peasy for next year and the year after. We actually went and truly on the journey, which started back with the pandemic in 2020. And it's accelerating and it's continuing on from there. It's like we have graduated now out of the first stages and we are now entering the intermediate stages. So I hope you're ready. And I think it's such an interesting time to be living, don't you find? So there's, the next stage. And that's why it's so important that before we move on to next year, we really take the time to ponder and to stop and to reflect and to bank all those learnings because it's pretty big if you look at it. So like I said at the beginning, you can continue this reflection using my 2024-2025 annual planner, which is a PDF document that you can print or you can fill it online, whichever way works for you. It has a lot of journaling prompts and questions and ways to help you think about your year. And it's a great thing to do when things have calmed down. You've got an hour or two by yourself between sort of Christmas and what happens in January before you get back into the thing, and life starts again. Take some time for that. And so if you want to get your hands on it, I'm going to send it to my mailing list today and next week again. So if you're not signed up, I'm going to put the link below. And also, you can just DM me on Instagram. So if you want it, go at Living Your Path on Instagram and DM me your email address and I'll send you the planner. All right. This was probably my last episode for the year. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing over the holidays. I'm definitely going to take a little break, but it will also depend on my inspiration. I may just have something really urgent to share. Who knows? So I know also it's a good time for you to listen to things. So if you haven't, go back to listen to the past episodes during the holidays. And if I've got anything new to share, I will certainly show up. And I also wanted to let you know I've got a couple of spots still open for birth chart readings in early January. I'm done for the rest of the year for coaching and for birth chart readings. But there are a couple of spots I'm opening up in early January, which might work out really well for you. And may I remind you, the special price on the birth chart reading ends at the end of December this month. So if you're listening to this in time, please go and book it. And that doesn't mean you need to have it done by the end of the year because nobody's got time and I won't be around for it. But you can get it done anytime next year. But the rate will be going up 1st of January. So make sure you don't miss out if you are interested. The link is in the show note. All right, my friend, that is all I wanted to cover today. Big episode, lots of reflection. I hope you have started to think about what it means for your own life. I hope it has inspired you. And let me leave you here, because I think it's the last time I'm in your ears before Christmas, to wish you a beautiful time across the Christmas festivities. Have a nice time connecting with people and a nice break for yourself. Really look after yourself, take some rest, give yourself plenty of love. And I'm sending you the same. I'm really thanking you for being here all year, for being my loyal listeners, and I'm really wishing you a nice relaxing time. Just exhale and just enjoy for now. You've really earned a lot of rest, no doubt, and lots of joy and happiness with your family, your friends, your close one, or just with yourself if that's the situation for you for Christmas. Just celebrate yourself and look how far you have come this year. There's plenty of time to think about what's next. So for now, just enjoy and savor where you got to. All right, take care, everyone, and I will speak with you later in the next episode. Bye, everyone.